everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have been taking a long time to upload a video because I've been reading A Little Life and it's completely destroyed my life. It's definitely been a road, so I haven't been doing well mentally to record a video and sit down for you guys. So here I am, and I'm doing the mid-year freakout tag. So pardon me if I look a little bit that way. I just have my computer in front of me so I can look at the stats. So let's go ahead and get started because it's been a hell of a year of reading. So according to Storygraph, this year I have read 88 books. 88 books. At first I set my goal to 55 books because I set my goal to 55 books because last year I read 60 books and I think that was a lot of books, but this year I just seem to be knocking books out of the park. I'm just reading and reading and reading and reading. So here we are with 88 books, and I had no idea I could read this much. So my reading moods mainly have been emotional, dark, funny, mysterious, which is pretty much my personality. So yes, this year I'm adopting a new personality. Welcome to my life. Anyways, it seems like a very tiny percentage of the books that I read are relaxing and informative. So I read a lot of depressing books. That's what I'm getting out of this. Most of the books that I read this year, they're between the 300 and 499 page. I read only 13% of the books that I've read are more than 500 pages, and only 22% of the books that I read are less than 300 pages. So I guess I'm staying in the middle, not really reading books that are too short or books that are too long, which I have big book fear. So that explains it. I read A Little Life and that was like 720 pages. And it took me exactly a month because I started on the 25th and I finished on the 25th of the following month. So that was definitely a ride. 9% of the books that I read this year are nonfiction. I try to read at least one nonfiction a month just so I can kind of keep myself grounded and learn a little bit more. So yes, I definitely want to get into reading more nonfiction. But since school is starting in August, I have the feeling that school will get that covered for me. I will be reading plenty of nonfiction books. Most of the books that I have read this year are contemporary, romance, and young adult and LGBTQ books. That pretty much sums up. I haven't been reading a lot of fantasy this year. The books that I did read for fantasy, I did love. But I'm a little bit on a fantasy slump this year. I don't know what's going on. But the only fantasy books that I have been reading pretty much were the Sarah J. Maas one, because I just started reading the Throne of Glass series and I'm loving that. I'm on the second, I finished the second book. Not the second book, the first book, but I did read the novellas first. And then I also read Crescent City, the 2 books this year. Besides that, I don't really think I read any other fantasy book. Nothing that I can think right now. I read a little bit of mystery, a little bit of thriller, like just sprinkle those in there, you know what I mean? And a couple memoirs as well. I do enjoy memoirs, but I really don't seem to like find a lot of memoirs to read that really interest me. So if you guys got a couple recommendations for memoirs, please make sure to leave a comment down below. It seems like my average rating was 3.95. I did have a couple of 2 stars, a couple of 2.5 stars. Most of my books fall between the 3.5 and 4 stars, and I did have a couple of 5 stars as well, of course. But that's about it. With that being said, let's get into the questions. So the best book that I read this year, I'm not gonna be able to say one book for any of these questions, so just letting you guys know, but I am really briefly gonna mention mention a couple books in most of these prompts, but I don't want these videos to get too long. So best book that I've read this year so far, I would definitely have to go with Heartstopper. I don't think I'm ever going to stop talking about Heartstopper. This is my favorite book. I also love Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I am completely in love with this book. I love Tori. Tori is one of my favorite characters outside of Nick and Charlie. So I just love her so much. And I really did love My Dark Vanessa. It was a really horrid book to read, and it made me feel sick to my stomach, especially thinking that relationship between teachers and teenage girls and teenage boys happen very frequently. So it was a very tough read, but it was just beautiful written. It was very lyrical, and the writing was amazing. The story was amazing, and just getting to see the character getting to that conclusion herself, that she was abused, that she was groomed, that was amazing, because from the beginning she was like, I don't know what you guys are going on, I've never been abused, this is not my story, I'm not a victim. And her getting to the conclusion after a lot of therapy and a lot of self-reflection that she really is a victim, that she was abused, that she was groomed by her teacher, is a very touching story. Next question is the best sequel that I've read this year, and I will have to go with House of Sky and Breath, the second book in the Crescent series, Crescent City series. Jesus. But also Our Violet Ends. I think Our Violet Ends was an amazing end to the duology, and I really like the whole retelling of Romeo and Juliet, adding the whole Shanghai experience to it. I really love that story. So those are the two sequels that I love. The next question is new releases that I haven't yet read, but I want to. With this question, I have to go with The Hacienda, To Paradise, and My Killer Vacation. These are books that I really want to get to, especially My Killer Vacation. I really love the past Tessa Bailey books. I think she's an amazing romance author. Her books really offer me this escapism mechanism, and I just really love it. She's very witty, and her female characters are very they have a lot of personality, so I just really love that. Question is most anticipated releases for the second half of the year, and with this I'll have to go with It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I cannot wait to read the companion. I'm not sure if the second book to It Ends With Us. I cried rivers in that book, and I cannot wait to follow this story with a better love interest. Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. I also really want to read this book. I think she did an amazing job with this Violent Delights. So I can't wait to see how this book is written and how I like it. The next question is bigger disappointment of the year so far, and with this one I'll have to go with Convenience Store Woman. I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This book was very boring. I did like the neurodivergency rep, but other than that, what? This is boring. And like, I get that it's litfic, and sometimes in litfic you just like get that very like boring feeling. Listen, this was not it for me. I love that a lot of people loved it. I didn't. I think the later character that was introduced just really ruined the book for me, and that was not it. Another book that was a huge disappointment for me was Milk Fed. I'm sorry. What the fuck was that book? What the fuck? Like, I don't know if the author was trying to be sexually graphic, but it came out disgusting. You guys go ahead and look at parts of this book online. Disgusting. I listened to the audiobook. That was the worst decision that I made. I gave it 2 stars only because I kind of could relate to the character's relationship with her mother, but that was about it. Anything else? Don't read this book. Save yourself from reading this book. Disgusting. The biggest surprise for me this year was Solitaire by Alice Oseman, and it was a big surprise because I have only read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman until then, and reading an actual novel from her was just made me fall in love with her even more. She writes characters in such an amazing and profound way. I really fell for Tori. I could really relate to Tori, and we got to see a little bit more of how her head works, how she feels, and how much she's struggling with, while Charlie is struggling with his issues as well. I think I gave this book 5 stars. I was not expecting to love it. I had no idea even that this book was Tori's side of the story. I'm completely in love with it. This is probably one of my favorite books of the year. But if you haven't picked up Solitaire, please do, because Tori is such an amazing character, and this is my favorite surprise of the year. Next question is my new favorite author, and for this I think definitely Alice Oseman. Like I said, I ended up reading a couple of her novels after that, and I absolutely loved every single one of them. I think she's an amazing writer, an amazing illustrator, and it is very hard to not fall in love with her work and her craft. So she is definitely my favorite author of this year. The next question is new fictional crush, and I have 2 for this one, and it's Charlie Lastra from Book Lovers, and Ron from the Crescent City series. I'm completely in love with these characters. They are very opposite from each other, but I think that them combined would make my ultimate partner. The next question is new favorite character, and I'll have to say all the characters from Heartstopper. Charlie, Nick, Tori, Pao, literally everyone. Every single one of those characters, but Nick's mom. Sorry. And Ben. We hate Ben. They are my favorite characters. Book that made me cry. Of course, A Little Life. A Little Life made me cry like there's no tomorrow. Book Lovers made me cry, but it was like not a bittersweet. It was more like happy tears. And Our Violent Ends made me cry at the end. It was a violent end. Anyways, if you're looking for a good cry, pick up those 3 books. Actually, don't pick up A Little Life. Don't. Like, A Little Life is one of those books that it's 5 stars, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I don't know if that makes sense, but books that made me happy. Book Lovers, mostly romances made me happy because they give me like that snuggly, warm feeling in my heart. So those are Book Lovers. Heartstopper. Take a shot every time I say Heartstopper. Delilah Green Doesn't Care. Boyfriend Material. I think I'm falling in love again with romance books, now that I think about it. Anyways, go read Heartstopper. The next question is the most beautiful book that I bought or received this year. And I would have to go with this Dracula edition. Is the Barnes & Noble. Is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And this is amazing. Look how beautiful this edition is. Like the sprayed edges. Like look at this. Like, I'm sorry, but like, can you tell me this is not beautiful? I love this. So beautiful. The next question is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? And there's a lot of books that I want to read this year, but the main 3 books that I want to read this year is Pride and Prejudice, the Bell Jar, and The Picture of Dorian Gray. I'm very excited to read these books. I believe they will be 5 stars. These are also my 5-star predictions. I can't wait to read those. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. Please let me know down below what was your favorite read of the year so far. What book was your biggest disappointment? Just answer your own questions down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and I'll see you guys next time.